What is your best observation of body language in real life? Something you've learned or read about, and it's always true. Story 1. Shaking someone's hand can make you memorable. This is just something I've observed, so I'm not passing it off as a general truth. When I meet someone new in a casual setting, a friend of a friend, someone's coworker, someone's family member, whatever, a person who acknowledges your existence and makes their way over to shake your hand will have an immediate impact on me over someone who just smiles and nods or waves and whatnot. I feel more comfortable with someone who takes initiative to shake your hand. For whatever the reasons may be, I'm much more likely to approach someone whose hand I've shaken to learn more about them at some point in the night. This very much goes in the business world as well. I know it's common knowledge to shake someone's hand when you meet them for the first time in a business setting, but if someone approaches you to shake your hand while they're leaving, they're far more memorable in my mind. It gives me a sense of belonging, knowing that someone thought about me in particular before leaving a place or setting and had to make their way over to let me know they're leaving. This also works with customer-client relationships. If a customer shakes my hand after a transaction is completed, I will remember them and may give them some sort of incentives or discounts next time I see them. Story 2. People always expect a certain facial expression and body language combination for any given situation, and will feel the most comfortable with that, even if the combination is meant to intimidate, and if you keep the expected body language but change up the facial expression, they will almost always think negatively of you. For example, someone leans forward with clenched hands, but has a forced smile. You will always think they're trying too hard, or are being witchy. However, if you keep the expected facial expression and mix up the body language, they'll feel very uncomfortable and will diffuse them. For example, when someone is on a high horse and chastising you, they're expecting you to glare, be tense, and move or lean forward as if you're about to confront them, but if you maintain the glare while looking as relaxed as possible, they interpret it as you thinking they're wasting your time and that you do not take them seriously. Story 3. People who mimic your body language don't want to displease you. That's as close to universally true as these things go. You cross your arms, they cross their arms, that sort of thing. Nervous people often lick their lips and swallow. Liars often do too, as well as touching their mouth, but it can be delayed after the lie when they feel like they got away with it. Like if you respond with, "Oh, that makes sense," that's when they lick their lips. People falsely accused of lying generally have a stronger reaction than those caught in a lie. One-on-one, that sometimes comes out as the honest person confronts you face-on, while the liar turns a little away. It's more about the line of their hips or shoulders, not so much where they point their nose. Story 4. I work in one of the busiest retail stores in the world. Policy dictates I can't share where on social media, but when I am on the front doors welcoming people and generally helping them with their dumb questions, you get pretty good at picking the painful and long interactions out. As we have to welcome everyone, I raise my voice slightly and talk in a booming, deepest voice. "Hi, welcome to blank blank." They get out hard and don't want to talk to me. I then take great pleasure in watching them ruin one of my coworkers' days. If I think they would actually enjoy talking to me, I make myself look dumb as poop, and they walk straight past. Story 5. When it comes to nonverbal communication, you don't just like one particular behavior, you're looking for clusters, and even then, nothing is ever 100% true. Also, you have to take into consideration different cultures have different mores. What's considered acceptable in one culture might not be in another. In a group conversation, people will tend to look at the person they're most comfortable with the most. Self-touching, in before touching yourself jokes, is often a sign a person is nervous and or anxious. Lip biting is often a sign of arousal. Pupil dilation is a sign that a person is excited and possibly on drugs. Story 6. They say that if you subtly mirror someone's actions, it helps build rapport with them. The key word being subtly. If you copy everything they do right in front of them, it'll just creep them out. I've found mirroring to be more useful as an empathy-building tool. Mirroring by itself is just one facet of this rapport building. Body follows the mind and vice versa. I found that by mirroring someone's body expression, posture, gestures, etc., rather than helping me build rapport directly, instead gives me a better internal understanding of their mood and general disposition, which in turn allows me to seek better ways to generate rapport rather than simply copying what they're doing. Story 7. I read once that this is why a lot of pubescent girls fold their arms. They're completely insecure about body language in light of the radical changes they're undergoing, so they just opt out by folding their arms and trying not to engage with it until their confidence returns. Most young men usually mistake this for arrogance or aloofness, especially if the girl is pretty. Unless it's a completely obvious sign, I'd avoid placing too much significance in every gesture. Chances are the person you're trying to read is also self-conscious, and the whole thing becomes one big contrived cluster mess. Story 8. The most amazing occurrence of body language I've witnessed was a friend back in high school that could control our group of friends. Wherever we were standing in a circle and he wanted to speak, he would simply take a step or two towards the middle. This would cause everyone to quiet down, effectively giving him room to speak uninterrupted. We didn't catch on for a while, but the way he was able to perform it so subtly was amazing. I believe this has to do with personal space and how we instinctively react to an incoming presence. Story 9. Someone mentioned body language clues being generally true but not universal. I suffer fairly bad anxiety in public spaces. I've been told by friends that I look angry as I walk down the street. I have received looks from security staff in shops, maybe in my head because of the anxiety, as I walk around the store looking shifty and darting my eyes around until I settle down. I think I look everything but nervous. I'm sure most people have a more general character, and you can assume body language for them, but a good 10% must have less typical personality traits that affect their body language. Story 10. To me, the absolutely most important thing I've learned about body language is that it has to be taken into context. Whatever else they're doing, what are they talking about? Who are they talking to? Where are they? Etc. When first starting to observe it, it's easy to take one gesture or posture or expression and go, oh, look, crossed arms. That equals defensiveness, or whatever. But that's only one part of an equation. If body language is an actual language, then crossed arms is just one word. You can't figure out what someone is saying by looking at just one word. You gotta look at the whole sentence. Story 11. I think that changes body language is more significant than anything else. For example, I've had this pointed out to me. I normally stand with pretty straight posture, ex-figure skater here, but when I start talking to someone I think is cute, I quite obviously arch my back and shift my weight entirely onto one hip. This might be normal posture for someone else, but the shift is what makes it significant. Don't trust static body posture. Someone could have just been like that. Watch their body position change when you approach. Story 12. That video of the woman walking in New York City is a great example of body language. It's obvious she's not interested in being addressed, and yet dudes keep trying. They're either oblivious, best case, or actively trying to harass her. Pro tip, if a woman on the street is staring straight ahead, hasn't caught your eye, and has a blank expression as she's walking purposefully by, she's not interested. Catcalling or walking beside her isn't going to change that. Story 13. Not exactly body language in the traditional sense, but I've sold 6 or 7 houses in my time, and I've always known which viewer would put in an offer by the fact that they, 1, used the bathroom, and 2, altered something. It's held true every time. I stage my houses very carefully, and I know when anything has been moved, used, or changed, and would tell my husband to expect a call from the agent that evening. My guess is that the folks are subconsciously taking possession or marking territory. Story 14. Late to the party, and this will probably get buried, but I've found that those who are lying tend to literally get swiftly. Like, they'll start getting fidgety, and when they talk, they tend to throw in a lot more detail in their explanations or stories than the conversation would normally warrant. The character Walter White from Breaking Bad is a phenomenal example of this. Most people are pretty bad liars. People who have been lying for a while, though, tend to be a lot smoother about it. Story 15. Always true? Maybe not. Often true? Sure. When one person grooms another person during casual interaction, oh, you've got some lint on your shoulder. Let me just... He or she is being unconsciously affectionate to that other person and welcoming him or her into the pack. I mean, family. Like monkeys picking each other's gnats. Edit, I meant subconsciously and nits. Story 16. Wandering eyes in a shop. Not the determined kind, the thinking kind. They're looking for presents. This observation has become so spot on that I ask our customers, so, who are you getting a gift for? And that always surprises them and breaks the ice. Story 17. I'm kind of the quiet, reserved guy, and I love watching people while I'm hanging out with them. Seeing a person's look of defeat or frustration at another person over something they just said, or that look that people get when they're trying to be condescending to me. I also enjoy the shifty-eyed, jaw-tightening look people get when they're judging someone else. Or those sideways glances two people will give each other thinking no one else sees them. So much fun catching that stuff. Story 18. Best that always works. The way their body is directed. You can look at feet, legs, shoulders, whatever. Look at the direction their body is going in. Towards you equals good. Keep going. Away equals cut your losses. Most interesting is looking at people's eyes as they talk. Depending on what way they are looking as they're talking can tell you if they're telling the truth or lying. The hard part about the eyes is that everything is in reverse for left-handed people. Story 19. I discovered this one on my own, though I probably wasn't the first. This works for girls and guys. When someone suddenly sees someone they find attractive, the first thing they usually do is fix their hair. They usually can't stop themselves. It's an instinctive thing, like, oh, someone hot, gotta look fly. So next time you're walking about and someone fixes their hair right when they first see you, they are attracted to you. Story 20. Preface. I don't know about always true because it may be confirmation bias. I've found that talking to girls while sitting down, if their legs are crossed towards you, example, you're on her left, her right leg is over her left leg, or legs uncrossed, they're genuinely interested in chatting, and supposing you don't goof up giving you their phone number. If they cross them away from you, they're not, and better luck next time. Story 21. If they're asleep and you're watching them, don't be scared if they randomly move a limb or their breathing pattern changes. Just wait until they start breathing slow, deep breaths. If they take an audible, loud breath, abort mission and get the frick out. Even if they open their eyes, they might not be conscious enough for the first few seconds to register an image, though you may be screwed regardless. Nothing will stop a startled wake-up, though. Story 22. One interesting one is the street meet nod. If you see someone on the street you want to acknowledge, but you don't have time to talk, you pull the street meet nod. But there are actually two types of nod. One, if the person is someone you respect or is more acquaintance than a friend, you nod down. Number two, if the person is someone you feel more comfortable with or are closer friends with, you nod up. Story 23. Watch. Glance at their feet. If they are pointed towards you, they are engaged in your conversation. If they're pointed away, often towards an exit, they'd like to end the conversation. I use this at work all the time, and I notice myself doing it too. Story 24. In a group, whenever someone cracks a joke and the group laughs, the first person any group member, look at is who they're most comfortable, closest, or most attracted to, almost always. Story 25. I wish my roommate would learn that me walking away from him into my room means it's the end of the goddamn conversation. Stop bringing new stuff up or starting a new story. Mother fricker will keep telling me new stuff despite me having disappeared into my room. I don't even act interested. The dude just can't not talk. Story 26. The slightest hesitation on answering or deflecting a question. When people either want you to shut up or they want to leave, they will tend to smile a lot and they have a sudden interest in what you're saying, all while formulating a plan on how to tell you to screw off. Story 27. If you see a guy walking down the street and he awkwardly lifts one leg up higher than the other repeatedly, he is trying to peel his sack off his inner thigh without alerting whomever he's with. We mostly do this when we are with women or family, if we're around other guys. Story 28. If you're having a conversation with a girl and some guy just comes in and interrupts the conversation, don't stay. In fact, walk away. If the girl doesn't like that guy, she will automatically come looking for you. People will always revert back to someone they trust or are interested in. Story 29. When a person crosses their leg, they generally cross it towards someone they trust or like, and away from someone they don't. Also watch for eye shielding. When someone slightly closes their eyes and tilts their head down, they're trying not to be noticed and or are trying to be left alone. Story 30. Work and loss prevention. This one, among many, many others, is almost always true. When a person has made the decision to shoplift and is about to conceal, they look like they're peeing in the pool. Every time. Loss prevention is all about body language. Story 31. I call it guilty face. In every criminal trial I've done, I've been able to predict the verdict based on the body language of the jurors when they come back from the deliberations. When they're all pointedly avoiding looking at the defendant, you've got a guilty face. Story 32. I don't know if anybody else does this, but I've noticed that when I see a girl who I think is cute, I stand up straighter, with my whole body, not some other part, you pervs. It's a completely obvious tell, and I'm very lucky that none of my girlfriends ever twigged to it. Story 33. Watch people's eyebrows when you enter the room. If they go up, they're happy to see you. If they go down or stay neutral, they're not. It's one of those things that is almost impossible to fake, because the way it happens naturally can't really be mimicked. Story 34. You know you've gained trust and rapport with someone when you notice they start mirroring you. sit in the same position, lean the same way, shift when you shift, etc. Conversely, you can do the same thing to gain trust or rapport with someone else. Story 35. Lip chewing usually indicates nervousness, stress, anxiety, or fear. When I'm in a stressful situation or really anxious and scared, I bite holes into my mouth. When I see others doing the same, it's usually for the same reason. Story 36. Want to find the most intelligent person in the room without even having to talk to them? Watch their eye movement. Intelligent people have a lot of eye movement, as they're constantly evaluating everything going on around them. Story 37. I had a teacher that was a former cop. He pointed out that a person in a normal state of mind will swing their arms slightly while they move or walk. Angry people have a tendency to hold their arms at their sides and not move them. Story 38. I accurately interpreted my grandfather's nervous behavior and my grandfather during a game of Texas Hold'em as a huge bluff, and won a huge pot. I was so proud of myself, but couldn't reveal to anyone that I had figured him out. Story 39. If you're in a situation where you have to pretend to be surprised, keep your eyebrows raised for more than a second. That's a telltale sign. Genuinely surprised people will keep their face in that state for more than 1 second. Story 40. I live in Japan, and you can't believe how much I understand because of body language. I don't know much Japanese, but I can understand by context and generally similar scenarios in English. Story 41. My dad used to get his class to shut up by just standing still and raising one hand, but not like Hitler. The visual message he sent was much stronger than trying to talk them into shutting up. Story 42. Apparently this is very common in girls, not sure about guys. You can tell somebody wants to or is thinking about kissing you because they're constantly glancing from your lips to your eyes. Story 42. I'm curious as to others' experience with this, but I've noticed if you hug a member of the opposite gender and they hug back and scratch your back, they're likely interested in you. Story 44. When you walk into a room, if someone looks at you and continues to look at you, they may be interested, or you look funny, not sure which. Story 45. If the person is facing towards you or away while speaking, usually it's an easy indicator to see if they're still interested in continuing the conversation. Story 46. During a job interview, sit in the same posture your interviewer is sitting in. It gives the impression that you're feeling the same way that they are. Story 47. I'm very skeptical of one-size-fits-all body language interpreters. I do think that individuals have tells, but it varies from person to person. Story 48. When a girl touches your shoulder and laughs at your awful joke, she likes you, or trying to recruit you in her networking scheme. Story 49. I have found this to be almost 100% accurate. If a girl is conscious, that is a pretty sure sign she doesn't want to have intercourse with me. Story 50. Humans can't take more than 3 bites of food without looking up. It's an anthropological relic back to when we were scavengers. Story 51. Women do touch their hair when talking to a guy they're interested in. I do it all the time when talking to the guy I like. Story 52. You know that little offering gesture people make towards you after they pop a breath mint? Accept the breath mint. Story 53. A man who is into a woman will stand in front of her or direct his body, most commonly his front side, towards her. Story 54. People who walk around on all fours and pant heavily all the time and wag their tail when they're happy are dogs. Story 55. When little kids start doing the pee-pee dance, even if they say they don't have to go, you send that kid to go potty. Story 56. If someone is farting a lot and looks uncharacteristically uncomfortable, then they probably need to poop soon. Story 57. This post makes me want to watch Lie to Me again. Then after one episode, I remember why it was canceled. Story 58. If you do the helicopter in front of your wife, she may pretend she doesn't like it, but she's still impressed. Story 59. If someone hugs you and pats you on the back simultaneously, they are uncomfortable with hugging you. Story 60. I often catch myself mirroring the actions of people I'm interested in, so I guess that's something. Story 61. If you want to look busy at work, just scowl a little bit. Click on one of the videos you see on the screen now, or a Karen will sue you.